The Backyard Naturalists podcast is presented by Backyard Birds in Matthews, North Carolina. Backyard Birds offers a unique in-store shopping experience highlighting the joy and excitement of attracting wildlife with the finest quality seed and the best quality bird feeders, bird houses, bird baths, and more. Bringing people of all ages together with nature and wildlife, Backyard Birds has everything you need to create your own backyard natural habitat. Connect with Backyard Birds at thebirdfoodstore.com or on social media. Now, here's Debbie and Laurie, the Backyard Naturalists.
Welcome to the Backyard Naturalists, the podcast about anything and everything related to nature. We always appreciate you joining us, and we would love to hear from you. Give us some ideas for podcasts. Give us some feedback. Let us know what we can improve on.
Positive feedback.
Sorry. What? We can't make any improvement?
No.
Okay, just checking. I guess not. Wow. So let's just
want to hear you whining.
give us a little bit about your background, Laurie.
I grew up in Alaska. And I
you're the only person I've ever met who can say that, ever.
Yeah. Way up in Alaska, like not Anchorage, Fairbanks. Mm-hmm. Past Fairbanks. Homesteaded up there. Moved back down to Illinois where my family's from. And fast forward like 20 years and I opened the Backyard Birds. Mm-hmm. I didn't open it. I bought it.
Yeah.
I shopped there when they first opened it in 96. So.
Yeah. Backyard Birds has been a family affair since it first opened. Tell them about that. It's cool.
Roger Ford opened it in 96. He sold it to his son and daughter. They ran it for about 10 years. All this time from 96 on, I was shopping there every weekend. And so they decided to sell it, and I bought it from them. And they both still work there, so it's still a family, all three of us.
Yeah.
Feels like family.
I remember you saying somebody said that will never work.
Oh, yeah.
But
several people.
You guys are the best team.
Several people said that
family,
just won't
you really
work.
Are. Yeah. They support one another. It's lovely to see.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm Debbie Foster. I'm the co-host, and I, for the last, 15 more, probably more, 20 years have been collecting different certifications. So I have a variety of environmental certifications as well as some animal training certifications and behavior consultants for animal certifications. So you don't have to just be one thing when you grow up. We've got a lot of different interests and education to go with that. So we hope you enjoy this podcast. We are really excited about this because we have a friend in the hot seat today at the podcast. We're going to be talking about light pollution, dark skies, and night sky photography. Trust me when I tell you that neither Lori nor I nor Chris could cover this topic on their own. So we certainly needed to get somebody in here that knew more than we did, and that wouldn't take much. So we're welcoming Christopher Page, a.k.a. Rue, from QC Rue Photography. And he has a podcast called Astrocast as well.
Correct.
So we've got a fellow podcaster in there. And he's the Backyard Naturalist official photographer.
Very proud to be. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. You are great. We're so excited that you're here. We're going to pick your brain a little bit today. When did you first become aware of the problem of light pollution?
It actually goes back to when I was a kid.
Really?
So, yes. I grew up, I'm one of the few natives from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Get out of here.
I just learned that today. I saw
am
it
a native.
on your Facebook page.
It's extremely rare.
Me too.
There
all
we
right,
got two in this little studio.
Two Chris's, both natives.
Exactly.
So when I was a little boy, I grew up on the outskirts of Mint Hill on a farm. Mm-hmm. And I can remember walking outside just 32 years ago as a 6 to 8 year old boy and looking up and just being blown away at the amount of stars that I was able to see.
Yeah.
And flash forward to 2020, we had the pandemic happen, and there was actually an explosion in astronomy because it's such a good hobby that you can take up by yourself and not have to be around people. Although I've since discovered it's also great to do it with other people. And that's when I started really noticing the problem, because I would go back out to that property that my mother owned and look up at the night sky. And unfortunately, what I saw was just a gray cast over the entire sky, and then just these huge light domes coming from the area of Charlotte, Concord, and Monroe.
Describe what you mean by light dome, just in case people don't understand that term.
So typically what we see when we look up at the night sky is in any direction that has a major city, you will have this gradient of light coming up from it. And The big problem is over the last 20 years, we've switched away from our old sodium vapor type street lamps, and we're now doing LED style lamps. So you might remember as a child, you would just see a little bit of a yellow glow on the horizon at night.
Yeah.
Now you don't get that. You just get this really bright gray that kind of gradients up to a lesser gray, and you can really pick it out from the cities. It's super easy to see. If you walk out at night past what is called astronomical darkness, whenever the sun is truly no longer affecting the sky and it's actually dark out, you can look towards the direction of Charlotte and you'll immediately see this really bright light pollution coming from the city, and it really impacts our ability to see the stars, the Milky Way, and everything else.
I grew up in Atlanta. And of course, Atlanta, when I was growing up, was much smaller than it is now. And I remember seeing the Milky Way all the time and not thinking anything of it. It was the norm at that point in time. My grandparents had a farm in Flowery Branch, Georgia, population 744 for years. And again, beautiful night skies, pitch black dark when it got dark. Because everybody went to bed when it got dark pretty much too. So we didn't need streetlights. They didn't have them. But in Atlanta, again, we still had that. We were 6 miles from downtown Atlanta, and we still had really good views of the stars, and I remember the Milky Way very
Well, imagine Alaska.
Oh, I can't. I just, wow.
What was that like?
Yeah, northern lights. You could hear them, see them, the Milky Way, all that. Yeah, it was just...
It must be incredible.
The sky was full of stars. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And you forget what it looked like.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I just recently... I saw something, I don't remember where I was, and I thought, if I didn't know any better, I think that might be part of the Milky Way, but I thought, man, it can't be. And that made me think, when was the last time I saw the Milky Way?
That's what I thought too. Just looking at your pictures, I'm like, wow, it's been a long
That's
time
what
since I've seen
a lot
that.
of people say. And honestly, I couldn't remember seeing the Milky Way as a child. It might have been because no one just said, hey, look up at the right time of the year because it's more visible at certain times of the year. The first time I truly saw it with my own eyes was just 3 years ago. And it was what I would call a religious experience. It really was. It was breathtaking seeing that with my own eyes for the first time. And I think a lot of people just don't understand what they're missing out on. You go outside and you see our night skies and you're like, yep, there's the stars.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty.
If only you knew what is hiding just beneath that gray blanket that we have cast ourselves over our entire environment.
Yeah. And when we have things like streetlights, it affects our vision because our eyes adapt to that. So it takes, I think I read 20 to 30 minutes for your eyes to unadapt to that so that you can actually see what's up there. And we don't take that time. I know when I want to see something, I tend to run outside really fast and then run back in.
It's true.
Yeah. We need to think about that and what we're missing, what we've lost. So really important.
Absolutely. And it affects a lot more than just our vision as well. It actually has been shown to increase stress levels in humans. It affects our circadian rhythms, so we're unable to sleep as well as we used to. And if we want to discuss animals, I can tell you quite a lot that it does to animals.
Of course we want to discuss animals. I haven't heard anything about the impact on animals.
Yeah, there's actually a huge impact on animals. So I can give you a few examples. A lot of birds are known to be, obviously they're migratory creatures, and a lot of birds actually follow particular star patterns at night as they migrate. And as you would imagine, if there's a lot of light pollution, they can't get a sense of where they are.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in detail later in this podcast because Audubon has a really wonderful initiative because it's a big problem.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
Are there other animals that are impacted?
Yes. So you have sea turtles, for example. They use the moonlight when they're over the ocean and they're first hatching. And they're trying to make their way out to the ocean. And if there's a lot of light pollution coming from behind them, where the cities typically are on the coast, it can disorient them. And sadly, a lot of them will turn around. And instead of going out to the ocean, they will go towards the city and they won't survive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of the coastal cities do have programs during breeding season telling people, turn your lights off.
Yes. And those are so important. My stepmother actually lives down in Southport, and she's actually a turtle mama, is what they call them. She's had some great experiences with them and is also a big proponent of reducing light pollution, particularly during the nesting seasons.
Yeah. All right. Any other examples of animals?
Well, a really cool one that I never knew until a couple years ago is the lonely dung beetle. Believe it or not, this is the first insect that has been found to navigate via the Milky Way. So
I would love to read that research. This is going to just fascinate me now.
They actually look up at the bright stripe of the Milky Way, which it's visible year round, but in the northern hemisphere, it's much more visible in the summer months. So like this time of year right now, if you were to go out around 11 o'clock at night from a very dark location, you could very easily see that Milky Way going directly overhead slowly throughout the night. And he actually, or she, will use that bright line of the Milky Way to know which direction they are going in and travel back and forth, which is crazy, but it's true. And
who came up with the idea of that research? That's fascinating.
I don't know off the top of my head who actually did the research, but I did verify it quite a few earlier today. I actually looked into it just to verify that, because I'd heard it several times, and then I looked it up, and there is indeed a paper on it.
And that also begs the question then, if the dung beetle is in an area which has a lot of light pollution, are their numbers plummeting?
That is absolutely on the money for the kind of problems that we're dealing with. And if it's as small as a dung beetle and as big as sea turtles, then just imagine all the other creatures, insects, birds, mammals, you name it, that get affected in between. Yeah. And I think we're just beginning to, unfortunately, scratch the surface of how much damage the light pollution is really doing to our nature.
You're doing a good job establishing why this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I talked to all my neighbors, all my friends and family about it. And luckily, light pollution is the only form of pollution that is instantly reversible.
Yeah.
So if we just choose to do it and follow a few very easy steps, we can indeed return our night skies to the way that our ancestors saw them. It's not impossible. It's not out of reach at all.
And we will give you those tips in just a few minutes. So stay with us, folks. You told me something at the farmers market on Saturday about this rating system that's used to rank cities and light pollution. Describe that. I had not heard of it before.
Yep. So
very interesting, though.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Bortle scale.
Can you spell that?
Yes, that's B as in boy, O-R-T-L-E. And it was actually invented by one John Bortle, and it actually was fairly recent. It was in 2001 when it first appeared in Sky and Telescope magazine.
Okay.
Mr. Bortle basically devised a clever system where 1 through 9 is our lighting scale. 1 being the darkest skies that you've ever seen, the best of the best. You're in Chile at the Atacama Desert. And 9 being the middle of Manhattan on a busy Friday night. So you can't see much other than maybe the planets and the moon, and that's about it. Most of us in suburban environments live anywhere from 5 to 8 on that scale. Just down the road here in our little suburb of Matthews outside of the city of Charlotte, we're actually unfortunately at a 7 now. We were at a 6 just 2 years ago. And I recently checked and we are now at a 7.
Is Charlotte also at a 7, or are they higher?
Charlotte is actually higher. They are an 8 or a 9, depending on how close you are
Charlotte
to center city.
is that. I'll just have to take a moment and acknowledge this. Charlotte is comparable to Manhattan.
Yes, it is. In terms of light pollution, it absolutely is. Now, it's nowhere near as big, but that impact can be felt for dozens and dozens of miles out, and all of the wildlife that is impacted in between. And then there's another city 20 miles down the road. It tends to interconnect and disorient in ways, just like I was describing those light domes earlier.
Yep.
If the 3 of them can be seen from anyone's backyard at any given time in this area, then they all tend to interconnect and impact one another.
Did you see anything about how many cities are 9s in the United States? Do we have a
I haven't actually looked it up to see exactly how many, but I'll tell you, there are some excellent tools out there where you can look up to see specifically what your location is. And this is a tool that I often talk about on my show, and it's called lightpollutionmap.info. That's the name of the website. And if you go there, you can actually give your location, would be your city or home address or latitude and longitude, and it will show you a color-coded map that will tell you exactly what the area that you are in is designated. And the good news is that you will find most of the times, if you are near a bright city like most of us are, generally speaking, within a 1 to 2 hour drive, you can get to something like a Bortle 4 or 5. Okay. And this, luckily, is when the Milky Way begins to become visible to our eyes. So it's no longer completely invisible like it is in the city. So I like to tell people that there is hope because you can take a little drive outside the city. Now, if you want to find those truly dark skies that are remarkable, you generally have to drive a lot more.
Yeah. You took a trip to the mountains not that long ago, right?
Actually, it was the coast.
Okay.
So we found a really dark area. Let me back up.
Okay.
I did take a trip to the mountains.
Because I thought you did it like on the spur of the minute and took off.
It was very spur of the moment. If you remember back on May 10th, we had an incredible event in the northern and actually some parts of the southern hemisphere, from what reports have said, which was, of course, the Aurora Borealis.
Northern Lights.
Yes. And this is something that is on a lot of people's bucket lists, obviously.
Yeah.
And for me, it was as soon as I saw the news, I saw Brad Panovich had posted that there was a good chance that it was going to happen. He's our local celebrity meteorologist here in Charlotte.
We've talked about him multiple times on this show, as a matter of fact.
I follow him
he
closely.
said he would come on the podcast, but we have not gotten an appointment with him yet.
Hopefully he will.
Yeah.
But once I saw that he said that there was a chance for that big storm, I immediately went to my wife and said, do you mind if I leave for a few hours? And luckily she agreed because she knows how important these things are to me. And I hopped in my truck, I grabbed a buddy, and we found the darkest area that we could in the mountains of Virginia. We actually went up to the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia to find the highest elevation in the darkest area that we could. We ended up in a Bortle 3 around 3,000 feet in elevation and got breathtaking views of the Northern Lights that night. It's absolutely incredible. I got some of my favorite photos I've ever taken in my life.
Yeah, and you're going to have a way to access these photos. So we'll share his site with you, and you definitely want to spend some time going down those rabbit holes.
Yes.
Lots and lots of information that you can see there. Okay, so your other unique experience.
Okay, so that was the one where we went to the coast, and that was very recent. That's why it first came to mind. It was just a couple weeks ago. Me and a friend of mine, actually my oldest friend in the world, we have a yearly ritual. We're in early Milky Way season, as we call it as astronomers, which is typically the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. We like to take a trip out to a very dark site and stay for 3 nights. So that's what we did. And you never know what the weather is going to be like.
Right.
We can plan for everything except the weather. We did plan around new moon, which is very important because a non-new moon, if you have a waning gibbous or anything over 25% really, is going to wash the Milky Way out. You really want to be out when there's no moon in the sky, ideally. And the first night was not great, but the last 2 nights were phenomenal. And we ended up getting some breathtaking photos of the Milky Way. I had 4 cameras running at the same time, 2 telescopes going. And, I definitely took advantage, and I'm still actually processing the work because I came back with hundreds of gigabytes of images.
Yeah.
And I'm still going through it all, but I think I've processed about 6 or 7 photos at this point, and they've all been incredible.
They're stunning. I made a comment to him because I knew he got a new lens this year and that he got to use that for this excursion.
Yes.
And I said, your photos last year were stunning. Your photos this year are light years past that. I thought that was quite clever of me, by the way, because they are. It's just amazing to think these things are up there and we can't see them. We have no idea they're up there, and I wouldn't know what they were if I did see them. But you know the names for all of these nebula, for example.
Yes, lots of nebula. There are star clusters, obviously. Some of them, if you get to really dark skies, you actually can see with the naked eye. There's one in particular, probably the most famous nebula of them all. In the wintertime, that would be the Great Nebula in Orion. It sits just below Orion's belt, those 3 stars that line up. It's actually in the scabbard area where his sword hangs. And you can actually see that with your naked eye. It's a little bit of a fuzzy blur, but when we take a telescope or a camera lens and we point it at these nebula, and we use what's called an equatorial tracking mount, which is basically a really fancy tripod that knows how fast the Earth is rotating. We can take long exposure photographs of these nebula.
Now, give people an idea what you mean by long exposure, because you had some long exposure that was 10 times longer than I would have ever guessed.
Yes. So the idea with a long exposure photograph is whenever you take a normal picture, let's say with your iPhone, it might be 1/200th of a second. It's just really quickly opening and closing that shutter, and it's capturing all of the light, and then it's processing that light into a photo. When we're photographing a nebula, though, it's obviously very dark. and the colors are very faint. So we need to gather as many photons of light as possible while we're taking that photo. And the way we do that is we open the shutter for a much longer period of time. So the difficult part here is that when you open that shutter up, if the light moves at all, you get trails and the photo becomes blurry and it's not good. And that's where our very expensive equatorial mounts and auto guiding and yada yada, I could go on all day, comes into play. And we use specialized hardware basically that allows us to take 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. I even have a friend who does 20-minute exposures on a regular basis.
Wow.
And captures light that entire time. And then we will take those photos and stack them on top of each other to bring out more and more data. And it's not uncommon for an astronomer to have a target go from 1 hour to as much as 40 or 50 hours on a single target.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of new things have actually been discovered in recent years by amateur astronomers, such as last summer, a new oxygen region was found in the Andromeda galaxy by a group of amateur astronomers because they took a really long exposure at a band of light that nobody had before. And now they're credited with discovering a new nebula in the Andromeda galaxy.
Wow.
So it's really incredible what the technology has done for us in recent years.
Interesting. Going back to light pollution, tell us what people can do to help.
So there's a lot of little things that you can do that can make such a huge difference with light pollution. So the first thing that is obvious is if you have lights outside that don't serve any purpose, consider turning them off, particularly if it's not for safety reasons. I can understand if you have a high crime area or something along those lines.
Or if you want to walk the dogs
Or if
and
you
it's
wanna yes.
night, you want to see
Exactly.
because the copperheads have flipped to nocturnal at this point. So you would want those lights on to walk the dogs.
That
but
is
turn
understandable.
them off when you come back inside.
But some of the simplest things we can do is think of installing motion sensors, for example. So if you have a light that you leave on all night long on the porch, maybe think about putting a motion sensor in. One of the huge things we can do is not install the cool blue LED lights because those are the ones that unfortunately have such a wide band of light that it just blurs everything out in our night sky. Whereas
The scary thing is our availability for different types of bulbs is really radically decreasing.
it has. And what we were talking about earlier with those sodium vapor lamps, they were just one very particular frequency of light. And now that we've moved over to LEDs, it's broad spectrum. So it's just white light. So unfortunately, that becomes very difficult to even filter out using high-end filters. But you can find warm yellow lights instead of those cool blue lights, and they do work better.
Okay.
The other thing you could do is you can shield the lights so you don't have light just going out everywhere into the night sky. Aim them properly. Aim them at the ground. If you're trying to light up your ground, don't have a light that's facing upward.
Yeah.
And it's these really simple steps that we could do that if we all collectively did them together, it would really make a huge difference. Install motion sensors, use shielding, and aim the lights correctly. And don't forget, not just at home, but at our businesses as well.
Yep.
Because
public
the,
buildings, places
yes.
of worship, any building is an option for changing this.
Exactly. And most of our light pollution from cities comes from advertising. If we can just shield those lights a little bit better, it could make a huge difference for everyone.
That's a good point. All the billboards on the expressways come to mind immediately.
Yeah, you can say that again. And it's crazy because it's at the rate right now, I think it's 20% every 5 years is how much the light pollution is increasing.
Wow.
So when I said earlier that we went from a Bortle 6 to a Bortle 7 over the last year in Matthews, that kind of tells you how it's only a scale of 1 to 9.
Right.
So there's only so much room that we have to work with before you're not going to see the stars anymore. And that's the last thing that we want to happen for our next generation of astronomers that are coming up.
Absolutely. Wow. So I want to talk a little bit about an Audubon initiative that I don't know if you know about or not. It's called Lights Out. And they started connecting with mostly cities, saying, do you have to leave your lights on overnight? Do you have skyscrapers? Can you turn the lights off? Or at least do it just during migration season in spring and fall, because the birds their GPS system is disrupted by these lights, especially the uplighting. And so they crash into the buildings, they fall to the ground, they get lost, they circle the downtown buildings and circle until they drop to the ground from exhaustion. Audubon in Charlotte actually did a study, and they had 5 years worth of data. So they had some really good-hearted and strong-nerved people who went downtown to Charlotte, and they went about 4:30 in the morning. They wanted to be there way before the sun started coming up, and also before maintenance staff arrived at these buildings in Charlotte, because they're going to start sweeping up the dead birds, and so they wouldn't know which species were affected. And one of our friends did this. Jill Palmer was one of the ones that went and picked up dead birds, and sometimes, every now and then, found live ones. And so she would contact a rehabber, and they'd pass this one off. But they got some really interesting information about what species were more likely to be impacted by this, and they actually did see some really strong information on that. I think ovenbirds, if I remember right, were one of the most prolific species there.
Are they highly migratory, or?
Yeah, but I don't have any other information. Do you remember anything?
I don't know.
Almost all birds migrate some.
True.
They might only go from one county to the next, but
Yes.
none of them stay exactly where. But these were the longer-term migrants in spring and the fall. And they were able to present this data, and it showed a very clear conclusion that this is caused by the lighting, and the lighting is something we can control. And so they did start working with people in Charlotte to try and control this, and they weren't very successful. They got one building to do it, but it was a significant building, so that was good. I was approached about doing the same thing in Matthews, and my comment to the Audubon state person who contacted me was that we don't have skyscrapers in Matthews. I was trying to think what the tallest building might be, and I'm thinking, what, 3 stories? Maybe 4? And she said it doesn't matter. Over 50% of the strikes are on 1-story buildings.
Yep.
I thought, I'll be darned. She said it's that uplighting again that's the most problematic. So I got together a presentation, and I went to the Matthews Town Council. Chris, were you on it when I went and did this presentation?
What year?
I don't remember. I would say at least 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
So I presented the information to them, the data that had been accrued by Audubon, how it affected this state specifically, the cities in this state. Raleigh and I think Winston-Salem at that point had implemented lights out programs, and they said, yes, we'll do this. I'm like, great. Except for what I found is I'm not sure that they've done anything yet. They signed the proclamation, but they haven't done anything. So this is based on talking to you recently. This is my goal for this year, and this is my project I'm taking on, and my windmill I will tilt at, saying, okay, fall will be here before you know it. Let's have a plan before then. Mm-hmm. What public buildings can we say we will turn the lights out? And they're asking for something like from 11 to 4. It's not all night long, or at least you don't use the uplighting. If you say it's a safety issue, then don't use the uplighting. Can we work with some businesses and get them to say, oh, yeah, I will commit to this? And I think the information you gave us on that Bortle Index is something that I will definitely be presenting to them this year, because that shows how it is impacting all of us.
Absolutely. I love that. I had no idea that the Audubon was making that effort, and that just so falls into my realm of things that I'm passionate about.
It's a national program, so you can track it across the United States. And some of the cities did much better than others, but they were very committed to it. And again, 6 weeks, spring and fall, it's not a big commitment, but it makes a difference.
It really does.
Yeah. So I want people to see your photographs. So tell them how to access those.
So if you would like to check them out, you can, of course, go to qcroo.com. That's like Queen City, ROO.com. And I'm obviously on Instagram, Facebook. You can check out the Astrocast podcast as well. But if you go to qcroo.com, I link to all of my socials from there, and I've got a whole bunch of my portfolio right out front there to view. I am actually in the process of rebuilding the site right now, so check back regularly, and I will be adding more and more photos each and every day. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. And in addition to taking pictures of the Backyard Naturalist, you also offer your services professionally in other
Yes, I do. I'm very careful about what types of projects I choose because photography is such a passion for me. But if you do have something special that you would like to get photographed, if you want to get pictures of the family done, or you have an event that you're looking to do, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about it and see if we can work out.
Yeah, and if you go to his Facebook page or the website, you're going to see all these categories like nature and birds and night sky. So you'll see some of his work in different areas.
Absolutely. I cover a broad range of categories.
You really do.
I'm expanding it right now.
I learned a lot by going on there. I thought, I didn't know he did that or that.
Yeah, I really do love photography, and astronomy got me started, and that's what made me find birding, and that's what honestly led me to you. So I can't be.
You've heard us talk about the bird walks on the second Saturday of every month that Backyard Bird sponsors, and Christopher joined us on one of those walks, and that's how we all got to know one another.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And he met Tony and started sharing photographs, and it's just a wonderful relationship.
That it is.
Symbiotic relationship.
I need to get out to another bird walk soon. Those are so much fun.
Yeah, he sent me the list yesterday, and I missed the last one because I had a client, and I thought I'm going to drive myself crazy if I try to do everything. And I had to pick up an order from the farmer's market too, so I just can't squeeze it all in the same hour. So he sent me, and I thought, shoot, every time I can't make that bird walk, they come up with some of the best stuff. So Orchard Oriole was on the list again.
I saw that list.
Yeah. I'm like, dadgummit. So, of course, then again, it's going to be awfully hot next month.
Ooh, you could say that again.
Yeah, we'll see. You've never been. You need to come.
Wait a minute, don't call me out.
Yeah, I'm just saying. We will loan you a pair of binoculars. I have an extra pair you may use. We'll teach you how to use them.
Yep.
Okay.
I still have the binoculars that I bought in 1993 when we went to see Janet Jackson at the old Charlotte Coliseum.
Nice.
I'm good.
Do you know how to use them?
Probably not.
That's what I figured. We have seen people that tried to look through the wrong end.
Oh, yeah. I've seen. You've seen that with a telescope. That's hilarious.
That's not the way that goes.
Or people that say, I can't see. Your lens covers are on. So let's start there. And they don't know how to adjust them. So if you join those bird walks, you've got people who will help you out and teach you how to properly use them, teach you how to find the birds, because it's probably not the way you think.
Actually, real quick, I'll mention as well, just like the awesome birding community, the astronomy community also has a really strong presence here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And look into the Charlotte Astronomical Club. We have a home base down in South Carolina, about an hour outside of the city. And if you're ever interested in astronomy, definitely check them out. It's less than Netflix per year for your subscription, and you can use all the telescopes down there.
Nice.
And they've got a lot.
Years and years ago, Hawk, which is the local chapter of North Carolina Wildlife Federation based in Matthews, had them out. We put them behind the Matthews Elementary School, which was great, except there were baseball games that night. Oof. So all those bright lights wreaked havoc with our views, but they were enthusiastic and so sweet about trying to give us the best experience possible given the limitations. But we had no way of knowing.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah, everybody has to play nice together. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor. I'm so happy to finally be on the show.
You've been listening to the show for a while now. I remember that.
Big fan.
Yeah. All right. I hope you continue to grow yours as well.
Thank you so much.
You're doing it the hard way. You do our episodes. We don't do that.
Once a week. I try once a week anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We ain't talking for an hour.
We do, but not always up recording it. So you've been listening to the Backyard Naturalist podcast, where our guest today has been Christopher Page, a.k.a. Rue, and he's been talking about light pollution and dark skies and photography of nighttime objects in the sky. We hope you've enjoyed this. I'm Debbie.
And I'm Lori.
We're the Backyard Naturalists. Turn those outside lights off and go outside and see what you can see.
While recording the Backyard Naturalist podcast, Debbie and Laurie enjoy coffee provided by the Good Cup Coffee Company in Matthews, North Carolina. Follow Good Cup Coffee on Instagram and look for them at the Matthews Community Farmers Market this Saturday morning.